Upon joining the team, Execute is at level 27 with the moves Reflect, Leech Seed, Confusion, and Stun Spore.
Yeah, we're gonna need to do some leveling up.
Going into our second attempt on the rival battle, here's where the team is at. Parasect and Weepinbell are pretty much where we left them, but Barplume has gone up one level to 38, and Venusaur has gone up to level 43. Execute is also leveled up to 38, but there is one moveset to report on.
See, so far Tackle has been Venusaur's only attacking move besides Razor Leaf. The problem with Tackle is that it's not strong. It is very much an early game move. Also, I've largely been relying on Vileplume as my poisoner, so keeping Poison Powder on Venusaur just seems like kind of a waste. So, it's time to give Venusaur some newer, stronger moves. So Venusaur's first new move is Hyper Beam.
The 150 base power move replaces Tackle, while the Strength HM we got in future replaces Poison Powder. My plan going into this one is to set up Reflect with Execute to weaken the damage from Pidgeot's flying moves. Before we can set that up though, Pidgeot takes out half of Execute's health with a Wing Attack. We hit with Confusion as the weakened Wing Attacks continue. When Confusion doesn't even take a quarter of Pidgeot's health, we stick him with a Leech Seed. Execute then manages to live on 3 HP and use Stun Spore. With Pidgeot just above half health, we get off one last Confusion before Execute falls to Wing Attack. Send in Venusaur next, and at that exact moment, Reflect wears off. Thankfully though, all we need is one Razor Leaf to tie the battle up again. Our rival sends out his Execute next, and knowing a hit from Confusion will do some damage, we decide to see how much damage a Hyper Beam will do. The 150 base power move leaves Execute in red health, and he responds with Stun Spore. Kind of redundant since Venusaur has to recharge next turn, but while he's paralyzed, Execute gets off a Confusion, which does exactly what it says on the tin, confusing Venusaur. After another hit of Confusion, Venusaur breaks through both Paralysis and Confusion to knock Execute out with Strength. Alakazam is in next, and although we call for a Hyper Beam, Paralysis stops us in our tracks. Thankfully though, the only even remotely damaging move that Alakazam knows is Future Sight, so we're able to get off a Hyper Beam on the next turn. This does become an issue though, as that means Venusaur is left to recharge when Charizard comes out. One flamethrower is enough to take Venusaur down, and now we're in trouble. See, Charizard's partial flying typing makes it immune to Dig, unlike its pre-evolution. We send in Vileplume hoping to get off a Poison Powder, but Future Sight makes sure there's absolutely no chance of survival no matter how low a roll Charizard gets. After much decision, we send out Weepinbell next, hoping to get off an Acid, but a critical hit on Flamethrower prevents that. Finally, we send out Parasect, who is helpless when she's hit with a 4 times effective move. Okay, time for some more grinding. While training outside of Fuchsia City, we catch the Lotad I added to the area.
Basically, with cases like this where I had to add a Gen 3 Pokemon, I essentially just replace a random Pokemon that doesn't fit the typing, and that's it. I don't change the levels or anything. It just sorta goes there.
While it would be nice to have Surf against Charizard, the team decision is made, so Lotad is going in the box for now. Okay, attempt number 3. If I fail this, I use Lotad. Before the battle, we use our second Leaf Stone to evolve Execute into Executor, as I realize I absolutely need a third one for when I'm ready to evolve Weepinbell. The reason I held off on evolving Execute is similar to why I held off on evolving Weepinbell. Moves. At level 43, Execute learns Solar Beam, while Executor doesn't learn it by level up at all. This would have also prevented me from evolving Gloom, but both Gloom and Vileplume learn the move I'm after at the same level. Anyway, on to the battle. Pidgeot is out first for Gary, and we send out our newly evolved Executor. The plan is the same as last time, only this time we outspeed when setting up Reflect, so the wing attack Pidgeot sends our way is massively weakened. We then attempt a Leech Seed, Pidgeot manages to avoid it, striking with another wing attack. While he's in close though, Executor is able to stick the seed into him. When we attack with Confusion, it manages to confuse Pidgeot, but he breaks through to land another wing attack. One more hit of Confusion and Pidgeot is out, showing what more than doubling your base special attack upon evolution can do. Gyarados is in next, just as Reflect wears off. While the Water Flying type doesn't know any Flying type moves, it does know Bite, which is trouble for our partial Psychic type. On top of that, Reflect is useless here since all Dark type moves are special prior to Gen 4. We managed to set up a Leech Seed to stall as long as we can, but Bite does a lot more damage than we can get back. Knowing we can still live another Bite, we set up a Solar Beam which takes Gyarados down. Then Charizard comes in. Though we have the advantage currently, it may not last long. We attempt to set up a Leech Seed, but Flamethrower hits first, taking down the Coconut Tree. It's hard to plan from this point on, so after a bit of thought we send in Weepinbell. Just like last time, we attempt to hit with Acid, but Flamethrower takes down Weepinbell before he has a chance. Venusaur's out next, and once again we decide to go for Leech Seed. For some reason Charizard uses Smoke Screen rather than Flamethrower, but despite the accuracy drop, the seeds land and we're free to suck up health from the dragon that isn't a dragon type, for some reason. Charizard uses Smoke Screen again as we call for Hyper Beam, which is a crit, meaning Execute comes out next. Execute gets off a Confusion that leaves Venusaur confused while he's recharging, causing Venusaur to hurt himself while going for Strength. Execute then uses Stun Spore and another Confusion, but Venusaur breaks through both, only to miss with Strength. Execute then continues to battle without getting hurt as Venusaur goes between Paralysis and Missing. One final hit of Confusion takes out the last of Venusaur's 6 remaining HP, and we send in Parasect who hits with Aerial Ace, taking out about 3/4 of Execute's HP, but gets paralyzed by Stun Spore. Execute then gets a critical hit on Confusion, but it doesn't do much to Parasect who shows the eggs how to really crit with one more Aerial Ace. With that, we've basically won the battle. Alakazam comes in, but he can only use Future Sight, so a Giga Drain and a Slash combine to take him out. Next we battle Giovanni again, and this will be the debut of Lotad, who I didn't train up because I was just really curious to see how an underleveled surfing Lotad would fare. I also forgot to show Lotad's moveset when I caught it, but the only difference is Growl being replaced by Surf. Other than that, her moves are Absorb, Nature Power, and Mist. The rest of the team is exactly where they were at the end of the last battle, with the specific members being Weepinbell, Parasect, and Venusaur. Giovanni sends in his Nidorino, and it's at this point I realize I should probably actually check what Pokemon my opponents have and lead off with before going into these battles. One Poison Sting takes 40 HP off of Lotad, and as Nidorino won't be part ground type till it evolves, the Surf we fire back with isn't super effective. We decide instead to switch out for Parasect, who takes a Poison Sting a lot better than Lotad did, and hits with a Dig that leaves Nidorino on 1 HP. Nidorino then uses Fury Attack, but the 4 hits don't do much while Parasect Slash takes Nidorino out. Unfortunately, that does set off Poison Points, so when Rhyhorn comes out, Parasect takes as much health as possible using a 4 times effective Giga Drain to get back into green. When Nidoqueen comes in, she hits with a double kick, but the not very effective hit means Parasect still has plenty of Rhyhorn's health to sacrifice with a Dig. The super effective attack leaves Nidoqueen just above half health, and once again, double kick does very little damage to Parasect, who heads underground, leaving Nidoqueen in red health with Dig. Nidoqueen then uses Poison Sting, which leaves everyone in the Silph Co office confused as to why Giovanni didn't just call for that in the first place. Lotad comes back in, but a Body Slam immediately takes her out. Venusaur is in next, and 1 strength is more than enough to take Nidoqueen out. Kangaskhan is up last, and the Hyper Beam we fire does a little over half damage, but Kangaskhan's Rage does minimal damage. Then on the turn Venusaur is recharging, Giovanni capitalizes by using Tail Whip? Okay. 1 Razor Leaf takes Kangaskhan out, and Lotad attempts to evolve, but we don't have the National Dex yet, so she just doesn't.
Man, they really didn't have a good method to get around that, did they? Anyway, Koga's gym trainers actually were part of my grinding up for that rival battle, so we can just skip straight to there since there are literally no new trainers at all to battle.
Everyone's right where they were at the end of the Giovanni battle, except I used a TM to teach Lotad Water Pulse in place of Nature Power. Also, I was really tempted to sweep this with Parasect and Executor, but come on, we all know I just want to see how far Lotad can go. Because of that, I left Parasect out. I also wanted to see how far I could go before Executor was my only option. So Lotad got one-shotted by Sludge. We send out Weepinbell next, and he doesn't have many useful moves. Acid is resisted and Wrap does even less. Eventually Sludge once again picks up the coughing as Wrap gets him down to half health. Then Venusaur comes in and one strength is enough to finish coughing off. Muck is in next for Koga, and after a strength, Minimize causes our first attempt at Hyper Beam to miss, but the second one is enough to finish the job. Coughing number 2 is out next, and uses Smoke Screen while Venusaur recharges. That pays off immediately as we once again miss Hyper Beam, but again, the second attempt takes our opponent out. Weezing comes in last for Koga and is the first to actually use an offensive move during the recharge from Hyper Beam. After a missed Hyper Beam uses up all of its PP, we switch to Strength, getting Weezing into yellow health before Venusaur falls to Sludge. Once Executor comes in, one Confusion is enough to earn us the Soul Badge.
And now that means we can use Surf outside of battle. But, rather than heading south and surfing towards the Seafoam Islands to get to Cinnabar Island, I instead go through Diglett Cave to get back to Pallet Town, since there's one more team member we need to catch. In the grass just south of Pallet Town that's unreachable until you get Surf, we come across the only pure grass type in the Kanto Pokedex, Tangela. And I immediately threw the Master Ball at it.
At level 24, Tangela knows Absorb, Growth, Poison Powder, and Vine Whip, but don't get used to that moveset. Also yes, some of you may have noticed that Tangela is fainted here. That's because I once again forgot to show the moveset right after catching it, so this was during training. Anyway, I eventually go all around the water to train up, going through Seafoam Islands, and here's the footage of me knocking out Articuno because it doesn't fit the types. Okay, here we go. The gym I have been most concerned about. Blaine, the Fire-type gym leader. Going into this one, Lotad is at level 40, having replaced Mist with Rain Dance. Basically, Lotad's entire job is to set up Rain Dance and hopefully get off a few Water-type moves. Venusaur is at level 49 with the same moves as ever. Execute's moveset is also unchanged, now being at level 43. And the third and final unchanged moveset comes from Parasect, who's at level 41. Growlithe is out first for Blaine, and we send out Lotad. One Fire Blast takes Lotad down to 3 HP and leaves her burnt, so setting up Rain Dance is about all she can do. Parasect comes in next, and even with the rain reducing the power of Fire-type moves, Fire Blast knocks Parasect deep into red health, as she's also left with a burn. That's unfortunate, as we call for Dig, and Parasect faints while underground. We send in Executor next, and a Leech Seed is met with another Fire Blast, but this one's only 2 times effective, so it doesn't do as much. Confusion takes Growlithe into red health, as Leech Seed puts Growlithe on 1 HP before Blaine uses a Hyper Potion. Eventually we finally get through Blaine's first Pokemon, only having 2 remaining ourselves. Ponytail's out next, but the rain has stopped, so the Fire Blast that hits him is full power. Venusaur comes in and knocks Ponytail out with Strength. Once Rapidash comes in, we set up a Leech Seed, but Fire Blast takes out close to half of Venusaur's HP. Strength then knocks Rapidash into yellow health, and Leech Seed takes him into red. Unfortunately, that means Blaine uses another Hyper Potion, but that just means we get one more turn to finish things with Strength. Once Arcanine comes out, Intimidate lowers Venusaur's attack, and as we're pre-physical special split, that's not good.
We have to hope this Hyper Beam can finish the job. Fuck.
I'm not even going to bother showing you the following 5 failed attempts. The only thing of importance is that everyone's leveled up a bit, and Lotad has learned Mega Drain in place of Absorb. Here's my notes though. As you can see, luck is a very important factor. My favourite note has to be this one. Also, as for that note about Lotad being sick of me talking shit about it, it got off a couple of good hits. And here's every single one of them. For comparison, here's a clip of how shit Lotad is, where it can't even one-shot a Pokemon 31 levels lower than it. Alright, this time around my strategy was to keep Lotad alive until the very end so that she could help out in any way against Arcanine. Thankfully we get lucky and Growlithe's Fire Blast misses, allowing Lotad to use Rain Dance at full health. Lotad then also outspeeds, and with the rain, the surf we send is powered up. Ponyta's out next, and a weakened Fire Blast keeps Lotad in green health, but does burn her. Lotad then gets off another powered up surf which takes Ponyta out, but Rapidash uses Bounce. For some reason I kept Lotad in, but thankfully Rapidash misses with Bounce, and we get off another surf which puts Rapidash into red health. The rain stops, but we know a Hyper Potion is coming, so we're free to set up again with Rain Dance. We know Lotad can't survive much longer in her current state, so we recall her and send out Executor. Rapidash uses Stomp, but it does very little damage to us. Despite the rain weakening it, Rapidash does get off a Fire Blast that does a decent amount of damage, and we use Reflect to help protect against Bounce and Stomp. We call for Confusion, but Executor just isn't fast enough and gets taken out by Fire Blast. We send in Parasect next and hope for the best. Another Fire Blast is just not enough, as Parasect lives on 6 HP and hits with Dig. The rain is stopped by this point, and I wasn't expecting a Hyper Potion, so we call for Slash, and though it's not enough to take Rapidash out, it does get him close to half health. Unfortunately, that means Rapidash can hit back with Stomp just as Reflect wears off, so now we're down to 2 on 2. Venusaur comes out and Strength quickly hands the advantage back to us. Arcanine comes out and Intimidate cuts Venusaur's attack. That's no good, as the only moves we can use rely on that attack stat, so we send out Lotad to reset it. Arcanine then misses with a Fire Blast, so Lotad gets to live for another turn. Arcanine does get off another Fire Blast before we can get off a Rain Dance though, so when Venusaur comes back in, Arcanine's Fire-type moves are at full power. We hit with Strength and it leaves Arcanine just above half health. This is good. Venusaur then lives through a Fire Blast without getting burnt, which is even better. All we need is for this Hyper Beam not to miss. Alleluia, 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 Alleluia. Finally, Blaine is defeated. The Volcano Badge added to our case, we can head back to Viridian City and... Wait, why can't we? Oh, right. Yeah. Got a bit sidetracked, having spent so long training for the rival battle in Saffron City that I kinda completely forgot to challenge Sabrina. This is a problem. We are definitely too overleveled for that. How to do this? Did somebody say Parasect Sweep? We are going for it. One Parasect with no super effective moves except against Venomoth versus Sabrina's entire team of 4. Let's do this shit. Kadabra comes out first, and our Carmine does nothing against the critical physical hit of Slash. Next is Venomoth, who misses with Supersonic and gets hit with a few Aerial Aces to go down thanks to some Hyper Potion bullshit. Up next is Mr. Mime, who does get off a Psybeam, but Giga Drain gets some of that health back, and once again Sabrina calls for Carmine, and we respond with Slash. Alakazam comes out, and we just play the greatest hits again at first. Unfortunately, this slash doesn't crit, so Alexander actually survives and gets off one good hit with Psychic, but it ain't good enough and he goes down. Parasect Sweep! Also, yeah, just before that I went and bought a third Leaf Stone and evolved Weeping Bell into Victory Bell at level 44. So now that we actually have 7 gym badges, we can move on to Giovanni, and we actually have some moveset change-ups to report. Executor is at level 44 with the same moveset as ever. Vileplume is also at level 44 and has replaced Absorb with Petal Dance. Venusaur's at level 51 and has replaced Leech Seed with Frenzy Plant. I opted to replace Leech Seed on Venusaur since I already had Executor using it, and Venusaur is the only one who can run Frenzy Plant, which is more or less Grass-type Hyper Beam. Parasect is level 45 with the same moves as ever, and Victory Bell is level 44, having replaced Vine Whip with Razor Leaf, which, much like with Execute's evolution earlier, I was just waiting for Weeping Bell to learn that one move before I evolved it. The battle starts off and Giovanni sends in Rhyhorn while we send in Executor. Confusion puts Rhyhorn into red health, and his lowering our speed with Scary Face doesn't do much when Giovanni uses a Hyper Potion, meaning we get off another hit of Confusion. Once again, Confusion puts Rhyhorn in red health, and we can still outspeed, starting to set up for Solar Beam as Rhyhorn uses Takedown. Of course, the recoil means that the Solar Beam we fire is pure overkill. Nidoqueen is out next, and we fire off a Leech Seed, but Nidoqueen hits first with a Body Slam that paralyzes Executor, who can't get off his first hit of Confusion, but after another Body Slam, he breaks through Confusion to knock Nidoqueen into red health. Leech Seed then leaves Mama Nido on 1 HP, and a Body Slam is all she can do. Paralysis stops Executor from using Confusion, but Leech Seed finishes the job. Angry at his wife being knocked out, Nidoking is in next, and I hit the wrong key by accident opening up the help menu. After 2 hits of Thrash and 1 turn of being paralyzed, Executor is able to get off a Leech Seed on Papa Nido. He manages to get off a 3-turn Thrash, but before he can get confused, we show him what real confusion is, as the super effective Psychic type move is a crit. Dugtrio is out next with Team Rocket Leader, and Earthquake can't take Executor down. Unfortunately, after charging it up, Paralysis prevents Executor from firing off a Solar Beam, so a Slash is enough for Giovanni's first knockout of the battle. We send in Vileplume next to show off his new move, as Earthquake does very little damage. The first hit of Petal Dance is a crit, knocks out Dugtrio, and the second hit is 4 times effective, easily winning us this battle, and our 8th and final gym badge.
Truth be told, I didn't have a plan for that. Just sort of did whatever. I knew I had the advantage the whole time. Sometimes I question why Giovanni disbands Team Rocket after this battle. But not this time. That was, quite frankly, an embarrassing performance on his behalf. But anyways, onto the Pokemon League and the next rival battle.
Once again, we set up with Reflect and Leech Seed against Pidgeot. Though he gets off a few wing attacks, we fire back with a combination of Confusion and Solar Beam that takes the bird out. Charizard is out next and quickly evens the match back up with Flamethrower. We go out to Vileplume, and thankfully we get an incredibly low roll on Flamethrower, with Vileplume living on 4 HP, meaning he can get off a Poison Powder. The wing attack takes Vileplume out, and we switch out to Tankalor. Flamethrower easily cremates him, so we go out to Lotad, knowing full well she won't live a wing attack. It doesn't matter though. All we had to do was stall. When Venusaur comes out, Poison takes Charizard down to half health. Even though he gets off a Flamethrower that leaves Venusaur deep in red health, our retaliatory Hyper Beam leaves him with little health, and Poison finishes the job. When Alakazam comes in, he spares Venusaur by using Future Sight, meaning we can get off a couple of Razor Leafs to finish the job. Once Rhyhorn is in, Venusaur takes the Future Sight, but lives, firing off 4 times effective Razor Leaf. Execute comes out next, and knowing Venusaur can't hold on much longer, we call for Frenzy Plant. my surprise, it actually takes Execute out, but as Venusaur is recharging, Gyarados finishes him with Twister. Parasect comes out lost for us, and a combination of Slash, Aerial Ice, and Giga Drain take out the other dragon that isn't a dragon type, who was just intent on using the not very effective Hydro Pump for some reason.
Okay, on to the league now. So for levels, look, I know people aren't going to like this, but the only chance I have is to enter the league with everyone at level 63. The same level as Gary's Ace, his Charizard. Now, if you've forgotten this from the start, for the league, I won't be maxing out at each individual league member's team numbers. The entire idea is that this is all supposed to be one run. Now granted, I do fuck that up, but we're going in with 6 Pokemon the whole way through. Now with that all said, we do have 7 Pokemon, so one is gonna have to remain in the box. And I'm sorry for anyone who wanted to see her make her grand comeback from a place of shittiness, but Lotad will not be taking on the league. Maybe if I had the National Dex and could evolve her into Ludicolo, I would consider, but as it is, Lotad, you are the weakest link. Goodbye. Okay.
Lorelei sends in her Dugong and we send in Victory Belt. We start off with Wrap and Dugong sets up a safeguard. We try to fire off a Razor Leaf, but it misses and Dugong makes it Hail. The next time we go for Razor Leaf, it hits and puts Dugong in red health, but she fires back with a crit Ice Beam that's enough to one-shot Victory Belt. We send in Parasect next, and while Lorelei uses a full restore, her Dugong gets half a health taken from a Giga Drain. Another Ice Beam takes Parasect to 69 HP, and she uses a Giga Drain to take herself back up to the hundreds before Hail drops it again. Slowbro proves to be a nice beast, almost fully restoring Parasect's health, but an Ice Beam takes it back down. Another Giga Drain takes out Slowbro, and Lorelei sends in Jinx. After taking way too long to decide, we call for Slash as Jinx uses Ice Punch. Jinx gets off another Ice Punch before we can use another Slash though, so it's down to Venusaur who takes Jinx out with Strength. That's pretty much it then. Jinx was Lorelei's only Pokemon who isn't weak to grass, and although Lapras does get up an Ice Beam, she falls to a couple of Razor Leaves while Cloyster is taken out by a Frenzy Plant.
It may have seemed bad going into that given Ice's advantage over grass, but when all but one of Lorelei's Pokemon are part water type, it sort of takes the advantage away. Now Slowbro isn't even Ice type, it's Water Psychic. Speaking of type matchups, Bruno is up next. Now 3 of his Pokemon are weak to flying, and 2 of his Pokemon are weak to grass. Do you know who has both those types of moves? That's right. Time to attempt another Parasect sweep!
Bruno's first Onix takes on Parasect, but after getting off an Earthquake that does next to nothing, he quickly falls to Giga Drain. Bruno sends out Hitmonchan next, and this is who I was worried about, but for a different reason than why I needed to be worried.
You see, going in, I thought Hitmonchan had Fire Punch. However, I quickly learned that in Fire Red and Leaf Green, and only in Fire Red and Leaf Green for some reason, Bruno's Hitmonchan doesn't have any of the elemental punches. What it does have though is a counter which hits for double the damage that you deal to the Pokemon using it, and we used a super effective move, which means, yeah,
It's a shame, but there is no Parasect sweep here. With that, we go to the backup plan. Executor comes in and stab boost will really help out here. Confusion is more than enough to finish off Hitmonchan, then it's enough to one-shot Hitmonlee. When Onyx number 2 comes out, we charge up a Solar Beam. Marchamp is out last, and though Confusion doesn't one-shot, Marchamp uses Bulk Up, meaning we have nothing to fear when we outspeed and hit with another Confusion. Up next is Agatha, and though she calls herself a Ghost-type trainer, she's more of a Poison-type trainer, which means we're perfectly safe to start off with Executor. And Gengar used Toxic on it immediately. That's okay though, Confusion was a one-shot. Arbok comes in next, and Intimidate is utterly pointless against a Pokemon that literally only knows special attacks. Arbok's Screech is then met with a Confusion that puts the giant snake into red health before a full restore tops it back up. Another Confusion once again puts Arbok deep into red health, and one more takes it out. Gengar number 2 comes in next, and you know Agatha's nervous when her second and third Pokemon out were her 2 strongest. She rectifies this problem with a super effective Shadow Ball though, and we have to think now. We send in Venusaur and call for Razor Leaf, but Gengar's just too fast, getting up a Hypnosis, and then 2 Sludge Bombs before Venusaur can strike. When he finally does, it does very little damage. Agatha then wisely switches out to Golbat as we call for Frenzy Plant, and the move has just gone from doing half damage to a quarter. Golbat then uses Air Cutter, but Venusaur has to recharge, so Golbat gets off another Air Cutter. Not really sure what to do, we send in Tangela, who takes a bit of damage from Air Cutter, but is able to get the win with Slam. There's nothing Tangela can do when Gengar comes back out though, and so she falls to Sludge Bomb. We send in Vileplume next, and with the little options, we use Petal Dance. It only gets off one hit though, as Gengar uses Hypnosis. She then uses Nightmare and Sludge Bomb, but there's nothing we can do. One Shadow Ball finishes Vileplume off, and we have to send in Parasect. Slash and Dig both can't hit, and Giga Drain won't do much, so our move option is pretty much made. Twice Gengar misses with Hypnosis, and both times Parasect uses Aerial Ace, finally taking the Ghost down. Haunter is up next, and she manages to get off a Hypnosis and a Dream Eater, but that wakes Parasect up, and on a second attempt, Haunter can't hit with Hypnosis. Once again, Parasect is our saving grace. Lance begins to battle with Gyarados as we send in Venusaur. Intimidate doesn't matter to us as we're hitting with Grass-type moves, so one Razor Leaf gets Gyarados down to the point where we know a Frenzy Plant can take him down. Aerodactyl is next for the totally still champion, and while Venusaur recharges, Aerodactyl hits with a powerful wing attack. Another wing attack isn't enough to finish the job, and Venusaur gets a crit on Frenzy Plant. Like Agatha before him, Lance has now switched out to his 2 most powerful Pokemon as his second and third entries. While Venusaur recharges again, Dragonite hits with Outrage. We know another Outrage is coming, but there's not much we can do about it, so we send in Executor. I don't know if I thought Dragon was physical or if I was expecting something else, but we use Reflect. The second hit of Outrage lands, but it doesn't do too much. We get off a Leech Seed as Outrage hits for a third time, and while Dragonite is confused, we fire off a Confusion. While Dragonite is in red health, he gets off another Outrage, but the Citrus Berry he eats stops Leech Seed from finishing the job. Dragonite is still confused though and hits himself one more time, leaving him with little HP before Slash finishes the job. One of Lance's Dragonairs is out, and as it immediately uses Dragon Rage, we know which one it is. That means we don't have to worry about Paralysis just yet. We call for Dig, which doesn't do much, but Dragonair follows up with a Safeguard. We use Aerial Ace, and thankfully Dragonair misses with Hyper Beam, meaning we can get off a second Aerial Ace to take Lance down to 1. Lance's final Pokemon is his second Dragonair, but this is the one with Thunder Wave. We decide to see how much a Giga Drain does, and yeah, it's not much. Dragonair gets off an Outrage, and Parasect's ability puts him to sleep. We know that won't last long though, so we get off a Slash while we can. Dragonair immediately sheds its skin, which somehow causes it to wake up, but somehow a Hyper Beam only does about 46 damage, so we can get off one last slash and win the battle.
Gotta say, the Elite Four were a lot less challenging than I thought they would be. Every battle you just saw was my first attempt. But now it's time to face our rival one last time. The tournament champions Kanto Lane. Yep. This is the part I fucked up. See, I may or may not have forgotten that unlike every other battle in the league, the second you step out of Lantern's room, you do not have a chance to heal off. You are automatically locked into walking into the battle. So that means I was going into this battle with 2 team members fainted and 1 paralyzed. And I was not fucking doing that. So I ran through the entire league again. So you may notice some level disparity, that's why.
What you're seeing here is a whole bunch of attempts. And no, I haven't sped this footage up. I was holding the speed key down the entire time. This is not even close to every attempt. I did record them all, but for the sake of this already way too fucking long video, and my sanity, I haven't included all of them. As you can see, I save stated right as the battle started, and anytime any of the things I needed fucked up, I restarted. Oh yeah, something else I forgot to mention was that I really needed Pidgeot not to just fucking spam Sand Attack, because then Executor couldn't get off a Leech Seed, or he'd be stuck with Gyarados for 20 turns and use all of his PP. Alright, let's skip ahead to the final attempt. Also, I was still holding the speed key for this, so it may look a little weird. Plus, it makes it hard for me to see all the moves going on. You know the deal, Reflect, Leech Seed, Confusion. Pidgeot goes down quick, and we Leech Seed Gyarados. Confusion and Solar Beam combine to take him down, and out comes Charizard. He misses with a Fire Blast as we get off a Leech Seed. When Vileplume comes out, Charizard is close to half health, but Fire Blast quickly takes Vileplume down. Venusaur's out next, who misses with a Hyper Beam and gets taken out. Rather than restart, we send in Victory Bell, but Gary uses a full restore. There's not much Victory Bell can do but take Charizard back into yellow for Tangela. Thankfully, for some reason, Blue switches to using Slash instead of Aerial Ace, so Slam gets Tangela the win. Alakazam's in next, who uses a Future Sight, then uses Psychic to take Tangela down. We send in Parasect and call for Dig, but the Psychic type predicts this and uses Reflect. Despite his Psychic doing some big damage, Reflect isn't enough when Slash crits, which ignores the defense boost. Rhydon's out next, and this is an easy Giga Drain one-shot. Finally is Executor. He calls for Egg Bomb instead of Sleep Powder so we can get off an Aerial Ace. On the next turn he does use Sleep Powder, but Egg Bomb quickly wakes our savior up. One more Egg Bomb, one more Aerial Ace, and Executor is in the red health. We know a full restore is coming, so even though it won't do much damage, we call for Giga Drain to get a bit more health. Light Screen prevents a second Giga Drain from doing really anything, and Sleep Powder comes back to annoy us. Somehow though, we get incredibly lucky as Executor misses consecutive Egg Bombs, and we call for Aerial Ace, a move that never misses. We've done it. We've beaten our rival. Professor Oak comes along and wishes we were his grandson instead of this dickhead, and we enter the Hall of Fame. The mighty Wall Executor. The OG Venusaur. The Poisoner Vileplume. The one who was also there, Victory Bell. The other one who was also there, Tangela. And, of course, truly earning her spot in the Hall of Fame, the Savior, Parasect. We did it.
this was an experience. It made me use team members I don't normally use on a team. Christ, I never thought I could love Parasect so much. Annoying as it was at times, it was also a lot of fun. I do plan on doing this more. I'll be doing water types next. Whenever I get to that. But I look forward to going through this and going through every type. God fucking damn it.